Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to welcome each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time, then welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go ahead and browse and listen to the other episodes because for sure you can get a lot of nugget of wisdom as well that can help you make better decisions in your life. And if you are an avid listener of the podcast, then welcome back to the show. I hope that you had a good week. I hope that you listened to the other episodes. And I am so happy that you are here. That means that you're interested, you are still invested in self improvement. And it's just great to see that you're all in this journey with me in being 1% better every single day. Now, in today's episode, we are going to talk about the 5 qualities of a great leader. And we're going to base it from the writings of the Stoics. I've been a fan of the Stoic philosophy, the Stoicism. It's a philosophy coined hundreds of years ago, and but the principles remain the same. They are still very powerful, and I believe that in making sure that we get the most out of life, we can apply the principles that they teach. Okay, most of the principles that they teach are still applicable to this day. And so I also wanted to make this episode because for sure, some of you guys want to become a leader, right? And so maybe you may look at the qualities that we're going to discuss here and look at what areas do I need to improve on. And so that we can be, or you can be, a better leader, or at least a leader. Now, we can also be looking at, if you're already a leader, like a team leader, or holding a management position or a supervisor or just a position in management, you are basically a leader. And this could be a great reminder for you as well on what qualities do I lack, what qualities do I need to work on for me to become a better leader. And lastly, of course, if you're here in the Philippines, we all know that the national elections is coming up next year, and we need to equip ourselves with the knowledge on what do we need to look for in in someone who is running for a position in the government, right? We need to equip ourselves with the knowledge on what qualities do we need to look for in a person. And so hopefully this could be a guide for you to do that. Now, before we talk about the qualities, I want to talk about what is leadership. Now, the word is thrown away, and yet for all of the history, most of the time we have a common misconception about leadership that leads to disastrous ends. And I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions that people have when it comes to leadership is a leader is someone who holds power, right? Well, that is true. But not everyone who holds power can be called a leader. Sometimes they become a tyrant. And a tyrant is very different from a leader. Seneca wrote extensively on leadership. And Seneca said that it's very easy for anyone to hold a position of power. However, if it's not checked by strong principles and purpose, the power corrupts and ruin that person. They fall into victim of the system, and they let fear and hate corrupt them and run them as they hold on to that power. Some people would define leadership as having a strong grip on their followers, as having absolute power. But again, we have that saying that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it does not mean that if you have power, if you're holding power, if you have a grip on your followers, that doesn't mean that you're already a leader. Leadership is not about power or authority or dominance. Now, Dwight Eisenhower, one of the most successful generals and world leaders in history, defined leadership in terms that Seneca would have nodded in agreement. He said, leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something that you want done because he wants to do it, not because your position of power can compel him to do it, or your position of authority can compel him to do it. And that's really perfect, right? That for me is what leadership is all about. It's getting people to rally behind you to act on something, act based on their principles, not because you have this title of a leader. It's because you showed them the vision. You showed them why they need to do it and they want to do it on their own. That is what a leader is all about. Now, whether you're a CEO, a coach, a team leader, a parent, a parent is also a leader. We're always trying to get people to go along with our plans, right? To get on board with our vision, to execute a task that we need them to do. But most of the time, if we're doing it by force, we're doing it ineffectively. No one is made to feel like they're small. No one wants to feel that way. And when you're forcing someone to do something, you're making them feel small. A great leader empowers the people, makes them feel like they could do great things because they are capable of doing great things. Which is why it leads me to one fundamental thing about leaders. Okay? For me, a leader is someone who leads by example. A great leader is someone who leads by example, through logic, through persuasion, from the front, with collaboration, with empathy, with kindness, okay? Not by fear. So let's talk about what are the qualities of a great leader. And there are a lot of virtues, there are a lot of qualities of a great leader, but I'm gonna share with you what I think is my top five qualities of a great leader. And also backing up by the studies and the readings or the writings of the Stoic philosophers. Number one is courage. Of course, a leader must be courageous because courage is everything, right? We can't have a leader who doesn't want to be at the front, who doesn't want to face fear head on. We want someone to show us that being courageous is something that is noble. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Remember this principle: when something threatens to cause you pain, the thing itself was no misfortune at all. To endure it and prevail it is great good fortune." Now, some people, some so-called leader would like to have a position of power, but they don't want to handle the bad things. They don't want to handle the misfortunes because they're not courageous. They don't feel courageous that they could handle that they could prevail over that misfortune. Most of the time, what they would do is to push someone else in front. Say, okay, you do that, you handle that. And when things fall apart, they tend to blame other people because they don't have the courage to take accountability for whatever is happening within the organization or within the people that they're leading. And courage is everything. Courage is what helps people prevail and conquer any problems in their life. Without courage, we would be overcome by fear. How we deal with the moments, the unpleasant moments that life and fate gives us, is how we are truly being defined. So if we bend in, if we give in to life, to the misfortunes of life, then can we truly call ourselves a great leader? The most important virtue all great leaders possess is courage. In fact, courage, as Nassim Taleb says, courage is the only virtue you can't fake. You can try to put on a show another, but courage to risk yourself and your safety, courage to risk your life, courage to speak the truth, courage to stand alone, courage in the face of enemy, courage to do the difficult thing even if you might fail, courage to pivot and change your mind and to adjust accordingly, courage to do what is right. That is what makes a great leader. Courage is everything. Now, we don't need someone who says that they're going to fight for us, but they don't want to be in the front line fighting for us. Now, it won't be easy, but it never is. Okay, that's the point. If you want to be courageous, that we need to face on the hard things. If it's hard, then that presents an opportunity for us to be courageous. And that also is one quality of a great leader. The second quality of a great leader is temperance. Seneca said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." We do not want a leader who is very emotional, who gets offended by the simplest remarks, who can't handle feedback, who can't handle, who always gets triggered, right? Because if we have a leader that doesn't know how to control their emotions, then that means they are not self disciplined. That means every time that pressure is upon them, they would not know how to act. It is easy to look at the great leaders and assume that their disposition comes naturally to them. But the truth is, they have been working so hard to be disciplined that every time a temptation or a frustration comes up, they would know how to handle it with poise. Now, temperance is a very, very crucial quality of a great leader. Because we all know this, like in our personal lives, the worst times that we've made decisions are the times that we are too emotional, right? Some people would say like in vino veritas, like there's this saying in vino veritas, like in wine there's truth, and sometimes the alcohol gets us more emotional, and therefore we make decisions that we regret in the morning because we don't know how to control that. We don't have self-control. We don't know how to manage our emotions properly. And would you imagine a leader that is always influenced by their emotions? You would go to work and your team leader, it's 8 o'clock in the morning and he's already pissed, shouting at you guys because he had a bad breakfast. He didn't get his cup of coffee. He was late to work. He was pissed, he was sad, he was angry, and now he's lashing out on you guys. That's what happened when you don't have temperance. You don't know how to stop the cycle of hate, the cycle of pain, the cycle of hurt. And knowing when to hold it is a true skill. Now, nobody is really a natural in having temperance. But this could be practiced, right? This could be practiced on how much do we, or how much are we able, how much temper do we actually have? We'll always have temptations in life, but what matters is can we rise above them? We all know like leaders are very ambitious, leaders are very passionate. But the thing is, if you cannot control those things, the emotions, combined with your ambition and your passion, it's going to be disaster for you because you'll let your emotions run you instead of you running your emotions. But again, this is a battle that is difficult to win, but it's not impossible. This is difficult to fight, but it's worth it. Because once you know how to control yourself, you will be able to lead by example and control, not control like directly control them, but influence other people to do the same. Let me say that again. Once you know how to control yourself, you can lead by example. And leading by example influences them to do the same. The third quality of a great leader is dignity. Marcus Aurelius said, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. Is this fair? Is this the right thing to do?" I want to highlight one sentence that he said. Is this the right thing to do? The road to leadership, you'll have a lot of connections. You'll meet a lot of people. And sometimes we get lost. We get lost on thinking what is right for the people around us, what's right for us, or what's the right thing to do. Now, getting respect from your peers is important, right? But it's not everything. You know what's more important than getting respect from your peers? It's acting with dignity. As long as you are maintaining your own standard, your own self respect, you will have dignity. People will disagree with you. You won't please everybody, but that's okay because ultimately you know that you're acting upon the best interests of all the people that you're leading. Dignity for me is one very important quality of a leader. Integrity as well, because I cannot trust a person who always waves his or her beliefs, right? Or he says one thing and then he practices another thing. There's no integrity in that. There's no dignity in that. We want someone to have the courage to change their opinions from time to time, but it must always be leading to what is right. Okay, not what your peers think is right, what you think is right, but what is actually right. Is this the right thing to do? And it's hard. It's hard because we sometimes live in a way that we need to please other people to get that approval, to get that appraisal, to get that compliment. Sometimes we're so tricked in seeing us getting the accomplishments that we would do a bad thing or not the best thing, not the right thing. We would bend our honor just so we could get honor from other people. Always do the right thing. Because whatever the circumstance is, the right thing is all that matters. The fourth quality of a great leader is humility. Marcus Aurelius said, "Keep in mind how fast things pass by and are gone. Those that are now and those to come. Existence flows past us like a river. The what is in constant flux. The why has 1,000 variation. Nothing is stable, not even what's right here. The infinity of past and future gapes before us, a chasm of whose depths we cannot see. So it would take an idiot to feel self-importance." One of the scariest thing that we can see from a leader is when he thinks he already knows everything. Because having that position of power can give you that illusion that you know a lot, you know everything. It gives you that illusion. But if you really think about it, that's your ego. Your ego is telling you have this title, you have this power. You must be better than most people. And so most of the time, leaders, they let their ego, feed that truth inside their heads. And that will become the start of their breakdown. That will become the trigger on why they would crash down as a leader. The temptation to believe that we are everything, that we are immune to the flaws, to the changes, to the constraints of what we're working on, of the people around us. This is probably the source of so much pain and misery in the world. Pain for yourself as the leader and pain for the people who believe in you. This is why humility is very important in leadership. Because we all know, right? We've seen leaders who have that ego. And no matter how wrong they are, they will not accept the fact that they are wrong because their ego is there trying to defend them. And when you let your ego win, that means you don't have humility under your belt. Ego is the enemy. Because if we want to be the leaders of our lives, we must always try to look at life as life itself, not because we're gaining something from it. If you want to give value to the people around us, then we need to do that for the sake of giving value, because that's the right thing to do, not because it would give us something that would make us feel good. I feel good when I give, when I serve. That's not true leadership. That's your ego telling you you have contribution. You must be significant. That's your ego. Be careful. Ego can push us to become better. But if we don't know how to manage our ego, it will corrupt us in ways that will make us crazy. And when we let ego run our life, we won't be able to take or receive feedback because we are incapable of, or we're at least uninterested in hearing from outside sources other than the things that we believe in. We will not recognize opportunities, or we will never create them, because we always see what's in front of us and we always believe that whatever fantasy we have in our heads, that's the truth. It is delusional. People with ego becomes delusional. That's not confidence. No. It's delusion. And that's what makes leaders become madmen. They let their ego get into their heads. Now, this is one of my favorite phrases. Julius Caesar had asked a slave to whisper this phrase to him during his victorious march. He would recite this short Latin phrase. Okay, this was also used by a lot of Roman generals to remind themselves of their mortality. And this is memento homo. Remember, you are only a man. Because sometimes our wins, our accomplishments will get inside our head. And that will feed our ego. And once you feed your ego, it will always be hungry. And so this short Latin phrase will teach you to humble yourself and to let you be reminded that you are only a man. As leaders, we are not everything. We are ordinary. We are mortal. We are not exempt from the truth. We are going to die one day, just like everybody else. The last great quality of a great leader is wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Mastery of reading and writing requires a master. Still more so life." Harry Truman once said that not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. They have to be. Not because it's impressing. It's impressive to be to have a lot of books in their bookshelves. But because when you're reading a book, you are technically getting better. You are constantly looking for things that you can use. Not on the dinner table, not in the meeting, not on Twitter, but in your real life. Every great leader, probably Marcus Aurelius, one of the all-time greatest leaders that has lived this land, he was a learner. He always read any writing he could get his hands on. In fact, he even wrote meditations by compiling the lessons he learned from the many people in his life, whether it's coming from a small person or a big person, a small influencing person or a big influence person. Again, this comes hand in hand with humility. When you are humble, you know that you don't know everything, but that does not remove the fact that you need to be better. We can never live a perfectly straight line, but we can always strive to live a straighter one than before. And we can do this if we add wisdom into our lives, if we become constant learners. And wisdom, isn't it fascinating how people think that leaders should just have a degree on how to lead? Knowledge is different from wisdom. Knowledge is knowing what things are. Wisdom is knowing when to apply your knowledge. Why we need to apply it. Now, everybody can have a lot of knowledge, but not everybody can have wisdom. Wisdom is a practice that needs to be continued every single day. It's a virtue that needs to be perfected every single day, every chance that we could get. And all the wise people know that they don't know everything. They're humble. They take courage in knowing that they don't know everything, but they act in spite of fear. They know how to control their emotions because they know that there's wisdom in controlling, in being able to control their temper. They know that a person who knows to do the right thing, who always strive to do the right thing, wise people know that in order for them to affect many people, they should be having that pursuit to do what is right all the time. And so wisdom, a wise leader, knows when to apply the different values, the different virtues, the different qualities in their lives, knows why they need to do things. Not because they know things and now they can be a leader, right? Wisdom is much more than that. Wisdom is knowing how to use the knowledge and making sure that the impact by the knowledge that they have can affect many people that they're leading. And so if we want to become a great leader, or if we're looking for someone who is a great leader, look for someone who is actively looking for opportunities to learn from everyone, who does not look down on anybody, who does not label someone as their enemy, and they fight them. Look for someone who can learn from every opportunity, every experience. Look for someone who always stay a student. And again, if you are going to vote next year, if you're an 18-year-old listening to this podcast, I am imploring you to go register and vote for someone who has courage, who has dignity, who has humility, who has temperance, and of course, who has wisdom. And if we can find these qualities in a person, we need to vote for them. And so, if you also want to become a leader, I pray and I hope that you continue to work on these 5 qualities. It's never too late. You might be thinking you lack one area, you lack one aspect. Then I am urging you to work on these because we are all human. We could, improve one aspect in our lives, but we should be taking that action. You should be waking up every single day and realizing that we have to work on these things. Having the intention to work on it and actually doing the work is what will set apart the good leaders from the great ones. So, I hope that you enjoy this. I'll be talking more about this in my group coaching session. If you want to join that, go to bit.ly/thebettermeproject, or you can send me a message on Instagram. If you also like this, go ahead and share this, please, with your friends and your family. And on social media, tag me at Small Talk Podcast and tag me at Alec Cuenca, and just share your thoughts, share your comments on this one. So again, thank you so much for listening. My name is Alec Cuenca. Vote wisely next year, and see you guys or talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.